If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that a little while back, I announced I was talking to investors about my startup AI Box. We ended up getting such a huge influx of people talking to us that we kind of changed our strategy regarding fundraising, and we have a really exciting announcement coming soon. But if you were an investor that had previously reached out to me and jumped on a call, make sure to reach out again. I have some really exciting news to give to you, or if you're an investor today looking to invest in an absolutely groundbreaking AI startup, I'm going to leave my email, jaden@aibox.ai, in the description, and I'll give you the inside scoop. Today on the podcast, I want to talk about a really interesting new startup, which is called Kolena. And this is a startup that is building tools to test AI models. They've just raised $15 million to be able to do that. So on the podcast today, we're going to be talking about some of the features and functionalities they have, as well as what they plan on spending this $50 million on. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. So San Francisco-based startup Kolena has recently announced a $15 million funding round led by Lobby Capital with additional investments from SignalFire and Bloomberg Beta. So this infusion of capital now boosts the company's total funds to $21 million that they've raised. And this is aimed primarily at scaling its research team and also forming alliances with regulatory bodies and amplifying sales and marketing initiatives. If you listened to my recent interview that I did yesterday with Bradley from Project Voice, it was really interesting because I asked him, what are some things that you look for in startups that a lot of people are missing? And he said one of the biggest things was that startups today need to be at least thinking about regulatory frameworks, what's going to happen in the future. And he's like, if you're not looking at that, you're really going to be left behind because right now there's so much regulation coming down the pipe. There's so much changing in the space. And he's like, a startup today could become completely irrelevant if the wrong regulation comes down the pipe. So, no one can predict exactly what's going to happen in that, but startups need to be aware and following and, essentially let investors know that this is something that they're cognizant of because this is incredibly important. So to me, I find that interesting when, Kolena right here just raised $15 million. And one of the big things that they're doing, right, this is essentially like their company is set to kind of tackle trust deficit in AI with advanced model testing frameworks. But one of the biggest things they're putting their $50 million to is forming alliances with regulatory bodies. So very, very interesting. So Kolena was actually founded back in 2021 by Mohammed El-Jedi, Andrew Shi, Gordon Hart, and the trio has a lot of extensive experience in AI departments across a bunch of different industries. So Amazon, Palantir, Rakuten, and Synapse. And their venture essentially is looking to address a really fundamental issue in AI deployment. So it's the absence of trust among both its developers and the public. So this is what they said, quote, and this was actually El-Jedi. So the use cases for AI are enormous, but AI lacks trust from both builders and the public. This technology must be rolled out in a way that makes digital experiences better, not worse. The genie isn't going back in the bottle, but as an industry, we can make sure we make the right wishes. So I think kind of going beyond some of the, conventional metrics, I think what really kind of sets Kolena apart is its comprehensive quote unquote model quality framework. So this is a tool set designed to provide robust, customizable, and enterprise-friendly model testing solutions. So unlike other platforms that concentrate solely on, component-level testing, Kolena offers an end-to-end testing of AI and machine learning products. So El-Jedi again said, quote, first and foremost, we want to provide a new framework for model quality, not just a tool that simplifies current approaches. And he really was kind of emphasizing a couple things, but I think really with Kolena's user interface, teams can construct test cases to rigorously assess a model's performance across multiple criteria. So It also kind of highlights potential gaps in AI model test data coverage and tracks associated development risks. So the platform aims to shift the focus from, blanket metrics like accuracy scores to more nuanced evaluations. El Jetty elaborated, quote, "For example, a model with a 95% accuracy in detecting cars isn't necessarily better than one with an 89% accuracy. Each has their own strengths and weaknesses, detecting cars in varying weather conditions or occlusion levels, spotting a car's orientation, etc." So I think AI engineers reportedly spent around 20% of their time on analyzing and developing models, according to one survey, and another report indicates that only about 54% of models make the transition from pilot to full-scale production. And I think this is really kind of revealing a big need for kind of effective model testing solutions. While industry giants, of course, we have like the Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and those kind of companies, they all, they offer similar services. There's startups like Prolific, Robust Intelligence, Deep Checks, and Bobity are also kind of entering the arena with a bunch of different kind of innovative approaches at this as well. However, Kolena claims to have an edge by offering customers full control over data types, evaluation logics, and some other testing components. I think its kind of robust focus on privacy eliminates the need for users to upload their data or models. And as Kolena only retains test results, which can be deleted upon request. So looking ahead, I think while Kolena remains pretty discreet about its current customer base, some people are saying that's because they don't have a good customer base. Some people are saying, it's just confidentiality reasons. But I think the company is adopting a quote-unquote selective approach, focusing on partnerships with mission-critical enterprises. Now, really, if I'm going to be honest, what I read between the lines on that is a selective approach means they don't really have a ton of users. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean they're not a great company and they're not going to be, successful. But they probably don't have a massive user base. Selective approach also could mean that their technology is maybe not robust enough to roll out to a larger audience, right? Maybe they have had bigger companies and a big user base request to use them, but their technology isn't strong enough to do that yet. It's not bulletproof and they don't want to open themselves up. So a selective approach means they can pick one or two clients that have very specific needs kind of in the space. They can make sure that they're fulfilling those needs, and they're able to kind of test it, beta, get rid of bugs, and remove, add the needed features and really kind of test the waters with this. I think it's actually a really good approach. I have nothing against it. But I mean, I'm just, trying to be transparent with what I think that means. In any case, the startup has also plans to introduce team bundles aimed at mid-sized organizations and budding AI startups in the second quarter of next year. And they said, quote, "Minimizing risks from an AI and machine learning system requires rigorous testing before deployment, yet enterprises don't have strong tooling or processes around model validation. Kolena focuses on comprehensive and thorough model evaluations. We give machine learning managers, product managers, and executives unparalleled visibility into a model's test coverage and product-specific functional requirements, allowing them to effectively influence product quality from the start." So I think as AI really continues to kind of permeate every facet of our lives, tools that can evaluate, validate, and benchmark AI models not only become really indispensable, but they also might kind of dictate the future credibility of the technology, especially specific models. So I think with this new funding, Kolena seems well positioned to play a pivotal role in this evolving kind of landscape, and I'm really excited to follow them on their journey and see where they go.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast, where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.